Casey Jones returned, even with Elias Koteas reprising his role, only to be relegated as a babysitter for Splinter while the Turtles were away. Expectations.
I called it. I called it. I mean, to have one of the prominent characters of the franchise make a return from him being in the first film to come back in Ninja Turtles 3, only to be relegated to be a babysitter. Hey, yo, what's happening, peoples? It's your boy Blaze here, back to you with another one here for Venomous Reactions, and today we got a video here for Fun Fact Films, and this is called What? Ninja Turtles 3 Failed. And I can name a few reasons why it will fail. One, the overview plot of the whole movie. Like the whole time travel gimmick, like, where were you going with this? Like, help me make it make sense, because honestly, looking at it now, I'm lost. And two, I gotta keep it a buck here. The design of the turtles, they look lazy. They look hella lazy. And this is coming from a hardcore TMNT fan. So you can imagine, like, me watching it as a kid when it came out, and you know, looking at it from a fresh pair of eyes. Yeah, I still can watch the movie, but it has a whole lot of flaws in it. Let's be real. And three, no Shredder, no supporting characters from the comics. So you have like a random villain out of nowhere. And then you have Casey Jones come back, and he's not even involved in the fight. How? Just how? We're gonna get into this one here for Fun Fact Films, man. It should be intriguing as always. So without further ado, let's run it. Woo!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been around more than 30 years, and Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's 4 heroes in a half shell have dominated multiple industries, from comic books to cartoons, toys, video games, and of course movies. The first movie came out in theaters in 1990 and was a smash hit because of how well it blended the dark and gritty tone of the comics with the Turtles' light-hearted personalities of the original cartoon series. The sequel, The Secret of the Ooze, came out the following year in 1991 and was successful in its own right, even though it controversially changed things up to become more kid-friendly by abandoning the dark and gritty tone of the original and amping up the comedy. But unfortunately,
yep, that tends to happen. Like, when people get a hold of a series, they want to change it up to where it caters to a certain demographic. And you can't cater to a certain demographic with the elements that brought them to the dance in the first place. So for them to change up the whole origin of the Turtles and how they normally would act, I ain't gonna hold you. It kind of sucks. But you want to market a series or a franchise, you're gonna have to compromise. And unfortunately, they had to. But not to say we don't love the Turtles. Let's keep it real. But it's the elements that brought them to the desk that made them unique.
Fortunately, here we are 30 years later, and none of the films that followed have been able to reproduce the quality of the first 2 films. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the 2007 CG animated film TMNT, and the 2 Michael Bay produced reboot movies all have major issues. But TMNT fans almost universally agree that the 3rd live-action sequel is what killed the movie franchise. And I wanted to take a deep dive to compare the film with the core principles of what makes a good sequel, to find out why this movie failed where the previous 2 films succeeded. The overall goal of a sequel is to respect the original while giving the audience something new. There are a myriad of opinions about what should and shouldn't be done to accomplish that goal, but I think most of them can be boiled down to 4 main rules, which are: identify what worked and build off of it, change the stakes, play with expectations, and add new memorable characters. The Secret of the Ooze wasn't a perfect sequel by any means, but it got more things right than it did wrong. Jim Henson's workshop nailed the look of the Turtles on the first film, and this look was maintained with the new costumes in The Secret of the Ooze. The technical limitations of the early 90s meant that the filmmakers didn't think it was possible to go with their first intended villain, which was Baxter Stockman and his army of Mousers. So they
Yo, imagine if Baxter Stockman was around when the Ninja Turtles movies were kicking off. Like, you could have done it with Secret of the Ooze, possibly. You could even brought him in for part 3. But yet, you dropped the ball. But I ain't gonna hold you, man. Jim Henson, impeccable design on the Turtles, man. Yo, rest in peace to Jim Henson, bro.
opted to bring back the Shredder, which was a missed opportunity to introduce a new memorable villain from the Turtles' well-established lore. But Kino, Professor Perry, and especially Toka and Razor were pretty memorable additions in their own right.
Oh,
As
yeah.
I mentioned earlier, The Secret of the Ooze played with audience expectations, for better or for worse, by shifting its tone toward comedy and lightening up the violence. But where The Secret of the Ooze was able to respect the original, while successfully giving the audience something new, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 utterly failed across all categories.
Damn.
Identify what worked and build off of it. The most glaring difference between the first 2 movies and the third is that the Turtles' costumes had a very different aesthetic, because Jim Henson's workshop was no longer involved. The Turtles' facial expressions were more cartoonish and robotic looking, and spots were added to their skin that drew attention to their armpits and groin area. The filmmakers chose to build off the kid-friendly humor from The Secret of the Ooze, but went overboard by making the movie feel like it was meant for 5-year-olds, with its cartoonish slapstick humor and overindulgent pop culture references. Changed the stakes. Instead of rehashing another Stop the Shredder plot, the filmmakers decided to take a risk and change the stakes entirely, with a time-traveling rescue mission to bring April back from feudal Japan when she was accidentally sent there by a sucker she found at a flea market. The decision to go in this direction seemed prompted by the popularity of their newest video game, Turtles in Time, as well as other popular time travel films of the era, such as the Bill and Ted movies and the Back to the Future trilogy.
Of course.
Oh, this is heavy.
But shoehorning a time travel plot into the third movie was a huge mistake, because the concept was so far removed from the pre-established world of the first 2 films, which leads to the next point: play with expectations. There are many ways a sequel can play with the audience's expectations based upon what they've seen before in the previous films. But it was impossible for TMNT 3 to do this in any meaningful way, because it was telling a completely different story in a completely different world. New York City was traded for feudal Japan. The crime-fighting Turtles weren't fighting crime, and April O'Neil wasn't investigating the exploits of a villain or corrupt organization. Casey Jones returned, even with Elias Koteas reprising his role, only to be relegated as a babysitter for Splinter while the Turtles were away. Expectations.
I called it. I mean, to have one of the prominent characters of the franchise make a return from him being in the first film to come back in Ninja Turtles 3, only to be relegated to be a babysitter with Splinter and the 4 guards that traded places with the Turtles. They really dropped the ball with Casey on this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, he has some funny moments, but they dropped the ball with Casey Jones, bro.
Were played with, but only in ways that were upsetting. Add new memorable characters, and frankly, there aren't any. Stuart Wilson's acting talent as Walker was wasted on poor writing. Walker's spy wig was somewhat interesting, but making him a Casey Jones lookalike turned out to be pointless. And the rest of the characters are bland, one-dimensional, or too cartoonish, like Walker's sidekick Niles, or the 4 guards that traded places with the Turtles. With all of these misgivings, it's surprising that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 earned nearly 3 times its budget at the box office, which just goes to show how powerful Turtle Mania of the 90s was, even during its decline when the third movie was released. But the low quality of this film was so shameful that the franchise lay dormant for 14 years before another attempt was made to bring the Turtles back to the big screen. 2007's TMNT and Michael Bay's reboot series had their own issues in trying to revive the franchise, but none of them have failed as miserably as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Click the video on the screen for more Ninja Turtle movie facts right here on Fun Fact.
You ain't lying though, man. Like, the 2017 TMNT movie, it was good. Don't get me wrong. even the Michael Bay version of the Ninja Turtles movies, they have their own flaws, but he ain't lying though when he said none of them failed as horribly as TMNT 3. Damn. But where's the lie? Like, TMNT 3 did absolutely nothing. Don't get me wrong, I can still enjoy the movie, but I can't help but looking at the flaws and where they went wrong with the franchise as far as the movies is concerned. Like, first one, nailed it. Second one, it may have like little itty bitty pieces of flaws, but that one did well also. Then we get to part 3 and it's like they pretty much dropped the ball. And honestly, I can see why it's the movie franchise like sat for almost 14 years before coming back out with another film. I can see why, because trying to revive the series, yeah, it's gonna take a whole lot of work. But I can see why TMNT 3 failed. But I want to know what your opinion on this. Did Fun Fact Films hit it on the nail or what? Yo, let the comment section have it. And as always, thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this one. And don't forget to tell your peoples across the globe, come kick it with your boy just one good solid time. And please do follow your boy on social media right over yonder. And this is your boy Blaze saying Chuck the Deuce, and I will see y'all in the next video. And I am out.